tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode, All Things Real Estate. And today it's just Mark and myself.
The original OGs, man.
We have fired the other guys. Just kidding. They're actually, although sometimes I would. No, I'm kidding. They're actually out selling houses, man.
Amazing.
I mean, it is an extremely busy time right now in real estate. And we'll talk about that in a second on stats. But, I mean, just the amount of activity, buyer activity right now is insane.
Well, it is, David. But I think to the benefit of our team and our clients that utilize our team, I mean, listen, we've got 600 or so single-family homes on the market. I know you're going to get into that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that our team is putting more buyers into contract more than really any other team or agents out there is definitely a testament to our team and what our guys are doing to make that happen, right?
Well, absolutely. And also given the fact that we're a small team. Relative to a lot of the other teams in our area that have, 10,
and that
15,
is by design.
30.
That's by design.
Yeah, no, and to your point, I think although we started off a little slow this year, I mean, everybody did.
Sure.
We're making up for lost time and just kind of killing it. So,
yeah.
So I'll jump into the stats really quickly. Here we are, middle of May. Normally we peak in June, July, but we have 619 single-family homes in Santa Clara County right now. 713 pending. So again, we only have about 3.5 weeks worth of inventory on the market right now. Condos and townhomes, same thing. 255 active, 293 pending.
You know, it's interesting when we're going through those numbers, it's actually about a 20% increase from where they have been, right? Because we've been floating around 550 or so, right? But even to say 20%, that sounds like a big number. Yeah, hell, I mean, to go to 620 single family homes, it's incredible.
Even if that number doubled tomorrow, that still only gives us about a month and a half worth of inventory.
Right.
I mean, so we're nowhere in a position where it's going to switch back to a buyer's market anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I love when we talk about percentages, I think our team currently has probably 10 or 12 escrows going on right now. If you look at that, we have 20% or 2%.
Yeah.
Sorry, right? 2%. Is that right?
Yeah.
2% of the market that our team's controlling. Pretty cool.
It is cool when you figure we've got 13,000 agents in our market.
Absolutely.
Good
stuff.
We continue to produce at a high level for our clients, and like you said, the key right now for buyers is being able to get them the house that they want.
Right.
So if you are thinking about selling your home, do it now. I mean,
it is amazing to me that every home we're putting out there, and obviously we do a lot of homework behind it, create an incredible strategic pricing, marketing campaign, all of that. Yeah. But it is blowing my mind, as we've said, you made a comment today when we met with a client that, the peak of the market was at March-May time period,
last
2022. Year. And it's interesting how these homes that we're putting on the market today are not only seeing incredible activity. We have one house that has over 100 disclosure packets out on it. We're probably going to have 20 plus offers on it. And they're selling at almost at or above the number they were last year.
Almost. We're almost back to that point.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, we're still, so year over year, median sales price in Santa Clara County is down 7%.
Sure.
But compared to where we were just a couple of months ago when it was down 17%.
Right.
I mean, it's bouncing back.
Yeah, and again, that depends on the micro neighborhoods and all the counties and stuff.
Yeah, but just overall, I mean, the rebound has happened. And so it really feels like we had a short dip, right? It lasted 7 months, I think. And now we're back up again.
So now the question is, how long is this going to last? Because I don't see this having any sustainability to it. The only thing that's driving is lack of inventory, right? So if we start seeing that inventory get up to 1,000, 1,200, which is still extremely low, and those were numbers that we were seeing in during COVID.
Right.
So it's not going to really change the marketplace. But if you're that one seller today, you're in a neighborhood, you're the only person in the neighborhood in a development that might have 100 homes on it. You're going to be able to pretty much write your own ticket compared to if you get 2 additional ones coming on the market.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect example. We got Tiffany Way in Willow Glen in contract last week. So we took the listing. Even Zillow said max. I know you can't believe Zillow, but Zillow said it's coming in around 1.5, 1.55. We listed at 148.
Yep.
We fixed it up. We put the VKG kind of touches to it. Sold it with 10 offers, 1723.
That's crazy.
And just, blew the seller's minds. Their goal was like, if we could get 1.6, that would be like an awesome number. And we went 123,000.
You're the hero again, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So no, that's actually.
So I'm sorry. What are the specs on that property?
It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet.
Built when?
Built in 1968.
Unbelievable. I was born in 1968.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's crazy, and it needs new kitchen, new bathrooms, the whole backyard's a pool, all that stuff. Great neighborhood, and all that. But
and that's an interesting thing. A lot of times we're going. I went to a listing presentation yesterday. Mom passed away. House was in really good bones, so to speak, good, well maintained, but it was original condition. I mean, it was like walking back into a time warp almost. But they had met with another agent, and the other agent said, renovate the whole thing. And I'm sitting there going, why do that? Buyers want a blank canvas. We're never going to put the amount of money that a buyer is going to want to into a property like that. And once you start remodeling, it's like, where do you stop?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And if we can't get 3 to 5 times ROI, then why do it? Because you do a full renovation and you lose 4 to 6 months, and then the market shifts.
Well, it's the timing factor of it too. Yeah, cool.
So
cool.
All right. Well, the next thing I want to talk about, because you're talking about that busy property we have on Noella.
Yeah.
So get everybody up to speed. Noella was a hoarder house.
Yep.
People have passed away, didn't have a will or a trust. So, and that's a reminder to anybody that owns real estate or significant assets.
State of California.
Yeah. Spend $2,000 or $3,000.
Right.
Put your assets in a trust because now it goes to the state of California. Do you want to talk a little bit about the probate process?
Well, absolutely, and that is a great point. It's so funny. We advise our clients of this all the time, and I woke up maybe 5 years ago realizing that Dee and I didn't have a trust. We advise our clients of that all the time, and I've seen our clients go through that process, right? And in the state of California, if you don't have a trust, which to your point, it's a very easy document to do. You can actually almost do them yourself, but I always advise to get an attorney to do it. Sure. And as David said, $2,000 to $3,000 done, and then you don't have to worry about the state of California, because if you die without that trust, the state of California is going to come in and they're going to determine who your beneficiaries are and how everything is split up. And that process can take a very, very long time.
And it costs money.
It costs money.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so imagine if you pass away, your wish, you have no control over it. You just don't. So the state of California comes in, takes it, and then they're going to decide if it's going to need court confirmation or not court confirmation, right? Based off if there's an administrator that can be assigned to it. And the last thing you want to do is have the state of California be appointed as the administrator or one of their government employees to do it, which happens. So it really just, it devalues the property because it's a challenging process, right? It's longevity on it. Buyers don't know if they're going to get it or not, especially if they have the court confirmation on it. So get yourself a trust, eliminate that issue, and be safe.
Well, yeah, and like you said too, it takes away your ability to have your wishes fulfilled.
100%.
If you want them to go, if you want a part of the proceeds to go to a nephew or cousin or child,
charity organization.
Charity organization, you lose all that right.
100%.
And now it's up to the state of California to determine that.
And I'll guarantee you the state of California has no interest of protecting your beneficiary rights, nor to ensure that you're getting top dollar for that asset.
No, absolutely. And so to that point, we're in the middle of this probate transaction. Property is in a great neighborhood.
It is.
But it's a complete, I won't say tear down, but it's kind of a start over. You got to take it down to the studs.
Listen, put it this way. We always do a sales clean on our properties. It was a $13,000 bid just to haul everything out of that house.
Right.
And then we decided not to do the sales clean because there was no way we were going to get through it. We actually had an agent walking through the property and they fell through the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
That's how bad this
Luckily, we know the agent.
Yeah.
Because, there's always that liability concern.
Of course.
Too, which is actually a good question. I was thinking about this last night. If a property goes into probate like that, is there hazard insurance on the property?
Well, yes, because I guess the question to your point, well, yes, because even if the insurance expires during that time period, the state's going to be required to maintain that property. So, they are required to make sure that it's maintained. So they would have to have insurance on it and everything else. In the state, the
administrator of the probate.
Yes, they are responsible for all that.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay.
But to your point, that does bring up the question of, how do you handle the liabilities with that, right? Yes, we have insurance and everything. I know what we did in our case was we said, buyer beware.
Well, we have a sign on the
entering
front
property,
door.
sign on the front
Yeah.
door, wear a mask, enter at your own risk type of a thing.
Yep. Yeah. And so, it's a busy property because every investor flipper out there wants the home. So I did the open house this past Saturday. I did it for 2 hours. We had about 200 people come through in 2 hours.
Now, and this thing was priced at $1 million.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a $499 property. $1 million is what it's priced at.
$1 million, and it's only an 1,100 square foot home on an average size lot, 5,800 square feet or 6,000 square feet. And so I think we do a really good job of advising other agents in our industry on how to follow the information. Right?
Yeah.
Because obviously a property
100%.
like this is going to generate a lot of questions. So I think we do a really good job of mitigating that with how we inform agents.
Absolutely. We try to,
but it never fails. I think over the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, but since the open house on Saturday, today is Tuesday, we've probably each fielded 150 text messages, emails, phone calls a piece.
Easily, yeah.
And 95% of all that information is located on the multiple listing service.
Absolutely. And I respect the fact an agent wants to call us. So for agents out there that are newer trying to figure out this out, I'm just respect the information that the agent puts out there, right? Because we are very busy. Know it's a very busy property. So if you're going to reach out to us, make it a legitimate question. Yeah. Don't ask us how many disclosure packets, what's your activity like? What do we think it's going to sell for?
Yeah.
Right.
Because, come on. And again, if we say on the multiple listing service, hey, text us for fastest response, and then you don't text, and then you call, and then you ask questions that are on the MLS, like what's the offer deadline? Where do you think the property's going to go? It's like, who knows? This is a hoarder house that and I got that question a lot when I did the open house, and I sat the person next to me while we stood because it's too dirty inside the house. I said, look at all these people here. Yeah. All of them have different agendas, different interests, different budgets. Right. So how do you expect me to read the minds of all of the people that are 100%. Out here to tell you where it's going to end up? Now, other properties, right, like Bruce or things like that, we can give guidance. Right. But use your head, agents.
Yeah, that's just it. And I'm almost not going to apologize. I'll apologize for being a little short with some of those agents that call, but you got to understand. We're very busy individuals. We have our clients we're taking care of. Mm-hmm. We put the information out there to help everybody out. So read the information with it. I want to go a little bit deeper on this specific property because I know by the time this podcast goes out, we'll already have it in contract. So I think it's safe to have this conversation. Mm-hmm. It amazes me the speculation that a lot of investors still have in this market and the confidence, which I say it amazes me. I guess it shouldn't. I've been doing this for 30 years. You have, in the same area. So we have a lot of confidence in our real estate value and where it's going and stuff. But I look at a property like that. If you were to, at minimum, you're looking at $250. Just to get it to 1,100 square feet where it's livable, nice, new kitchen, bathrooms, all that, right? This thing needs to be completely redone. Mm-hmm. So I believe this thing's going to probably go for around 1.3 with the activity where it's going to go 40% over list price, which is amazing. But what amazes me even further, if we reverse engineer this deal, mm-hmm. An 1,100 square foot house fully remodeled, what's it going to sell for in that neighborhood?
Max is about 1.7 to 1.725 because it's a really nice neighborhood.
Okay, let's say it's even 1.8.
Yeah.
Let's go 1.8, right? Yeah. Well, okay, if you buy it for 1.3, mm-hmm. you put $250 into it, you're at 1.55. Mm-hmm. Now, 1.8, what people forget about is potentially holding costs. Maybe they're paying all cash, but that cash now gets 5% interest, right? You've got commissions, mm-hmm. you've got escrow fees, all those other things. So, if we back that out of it, I'm sitting there going, okay, somebody's going to do this for at best $150,000 profit. Now, what happens to that profit? You got capital gains on that profit.
Short-term capital gains, which is approximately, 35%?
40%, So I'm sitting there going, okay, wait a minute. Somebody's going to wind up netting out of this thing $80,000 by putting up, if they're lucky, that's if they get 1.8. If they get 1.7, they've lost money on it. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, I'm just trying to figure out where the buyer's mind. Now, I understand an owner-user. Mm-hmm. Owner-user, I get. But a developer, investor on a project like that, I'm just scratching my head. I don't see it.
Well, most owner users can't afford to pay $1 million cash because you can't get financing on it and then spend the $250. And if it's an owner user, they probably have to get a general contractor. So now maybe it's $253.
Right.
That would be one way to get some sweat equity, right? But aside from that, 95% or so of everybody that came by the open house was an investor.
Right.
And so I'm with you. Unless you expand the footprint or build up, right? Which is a longer term, riskier
Yeah.
bet. I don't see how people
Yeah.
get their money out of it, but we'll let
You
guys know.
It's challenging. Something else I wanted to educate people on is where we have a property like this. One of the reasons why we say all cash is we know traditional financing won't work, right?
Correct.
However, there are options, right? There's hard money loans. There's
FHA 203K, which is a rehab loan.
Explain that. How does that work?
So it's actually a good loan. So FHA loan, so it's backed by the government,
right?
Which means you do have that FHA fee you got to pay on top of the mortgage. However, they will lend up to basically 97% of the future value,
right?
So if it is worth 1.8, right, they'll lend you 97% of that,
and that provides you the funds to do the rehab.
Correct. And then it has to be a licensed contractor, and then they just do a draw, right? So as you hit certain milestones in the construction process, FHA.
It's like a construction loan, and then it converts to a traditional financing, right? 30-year fixed. I think the only challenge with those products, and the reason why we don't promote that, hey, you can utilize that on this type of a property, is the activity involved, right? Because those loans are going to take 45 to 60 days sometimes to get approved, right? To go through.
Yeah, right. And if you already don't have the contractor lined up and plans lined up, I mean, it can be delayed even more. And so in this case,
a seller's not going to accept an offer like that, knowing that compared to a 10-day close all cash.
Especially if the seller is the state of California, right? And which goes back to why you need to have a trust, because maybe if it was a traditional seller and that FHA buyer was willing to offer more.
Great point.
Right, but now we're going to potentially leave money on the table,
right?
Because the state of California just wants it off their books and move on to the next.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Interesting.
All right. Buyer etiquette. So
perfect.
We had, too bad we don't have the guys with us today because they represent a lot more buyers than we do,
without a doubt.
But we have represented buyers. We still represent buyers, and we've done hundreds of buyer side deals. I'm going to give maybe 2 or 3 tips that buyers should not do, or potential buyers should not do. The first one is, you're looking through Zillow, you get all excited, you just started your home search, and you say, I want to go see this home at Wednesday at 6 p.m. So you click the little button on Zillow, and one of our agents picks up, and our guys are eager and happy to meet you, but one, you don't even know how much you qualify for.
Right.
2, you have to remember that as a real estate agent, we don't get paid for driving out to meet somebody at a house, right? We work with you and we get paid at the close of a transaction. So if you have no clue what you can afford, do the real estate agent a favor and get pre-approved first.
Absolutely.
Right? Or at least make sure the agent that you're talking to on the other end of the phone knows that you just started looking, you're not pre-approved. Yep. Because what could happen is that agent, like us, we have great local lenders that we can refer you to and at least get a quick pre-qual. Not the full approval, but at least you know where you stand, because maybe this home's nowhere near your budget, so why waste everybody's time?
And I think that's the biggest letdown we see buyers do, right? And we see newer agents jumping in, right? Newer agents just want that lead, so they're going to race out there and do it. And you got somebody who's got that champagne budget or champagne taste with a Volkswagen budget or whatever, a beer budget, whatever it is, right? And the biggest letdown is where you have that buyers out there and the agents just showing them properties at $2 million when they can only afford $1.5 million, and then it just really brings down the entire scenario, right? Because now they're feeling they have to settle instead of really doing their homework up front and allowing the process to really work in the right way.
Well, yeah, and when you have the right set of expectations, it makes the process smoother for everybody.
That's why, generally speaking, other than the Zillow leads that come in, we always want to get that buyer in front of us through that buyer consultation to set up those expectations, right?
Yeah. The second thing I want to tell buyers, especially in our market, maybe it's different throughout the United States, but in our market, it is imperative, in my opinion, that you find a local lender. Right?
Oh, 100%.
Don't use, and I'm just saying like Rocket Mortgage, not to bag on them, but just don't use a faceless entity that resides in a call center in the Midwest, because when we have 6 or 8 offers that you and I are reviewing on our listings and we see those pre-approval letters come in,
100%,
and we know the local lenders that are on the other side of that, it's just giving that seller that extra level of certainty that this transaction is going to close with this guy because his or her word is good.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because we have that experience with him.
And especially when, and a lot of times in our market, we get, well, so-and-so mortgage is 1/8 of a percentage point cheaper than your local guy. Okay, that might be true, but 1, interest rates change daily.
Right.
And 2, what's more important? Do you want to get the house because you've got a local team of experts in place, or do you want to end up overpaying for something you didn't really want, but just saved 1/8 of a rate on an interest rate, knowing that the Fed has indicated they're going to pause interest rate hikes, which will eventually trickle down to lead to lower mortgage interest rates as we enter into this recession that I think is coming soon. Then you just refinance. Right. So you're an eighth of a point higher, but you get a local lender that helps guarantee that we get you the property.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting with buyers. I always say there's three things a buyer has to be. They have to ensure that they're financially, mentally, and emotionally prepared to go down this process. Right? Financially, like you said, pre-approval. Mentally, being ready to make the decision. Know that you're not going to have all the items on your checklist of 10 of them. You might get 6 or 7, be satisfied with that, and emotionally ready to do it, right? Because there's a lot of, especially if you're buying it with your spouse or something, a lot of things going. And I think by having that consultation, it allows us to have those conversations that get to the proper expectations to where that buyer, when we come in there, they are a ready, willing, and able buyer to make it happen.
Yep. Right? And the last pet peeve I'll get into, and it doesn't happen very often, but if you are a buyer, right, as an agent, we drive around and we show 10, 20, 30 homes before we get one in a contract. We're wonderful tour guides. Yeah, we are tour guides. It never ceases to amaze me when a buyer walks into a house. They walk in right away and they're like, oh yeah, this house isn't for me. It's horrible for all these reasons. And then they continue to spend 15 minutes walking around the house complaining about the whole thing. Right? Again, I mean, let's just find you the right home. Let's not be efficient. Yeah, right? Be efficient. Let's not spend time on talking shit about a house that you don't want.
And I'd also say respect the agent's time. Right. Understand that we are working 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, just like they do in their job.
Well, that's the minimum.
The minimum, right? But then we also understand that for most buyers, they need to be there in the evenings and the weekends. Well, that's time that's eaten into our family time, our kids, friends, whatever it is, social and all those other time, our own time, right? So just respect that, right? Understand. Just have an understanding with it. Doesn't mean we're not going to help you out.
Right.
But to your point, listen, if I got to, put myself out of going to my kid's Little League game, understand I'm doing that. And if you do find that house you don't like, no, you don't like it, don't waste a half an hour of the time.
Yeah. And back to that, being aware of people's time. If you text me at 10 or 10:30 at night, if I'm up, maybe I'll respond. But if I don't feel like we're neglecting you because it's 10:30 at night and it took us till 9 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. Well, it's just the world that we live in, right? We got our leashes with us at all times.
Yeah, our phone's been blown up this
I get that sometimes. Exactly, right? Or like, oh, Mark, I text you at 9:30 on a Sunday night. Why didn't you call me back? It's like, okay, well, do you call people back at 9:30 on Sunday night?
Yeah, what if your boss texts you, right? And we do get, like you said, it's kind of the society that we're in, but also you just have to be aware and respectful of people have lives.
I mean, it's got to be a mutually respectable relationship, and it'll just make their experience and the process and the results that much better as they go through it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, what else you got, man?
You know what I wanted to talk about a little bit were kind of, and it would be great to do this with more of our team members here and stuff, but you and I can kind of hit on it, we have so many communities in Santa Clara County, right? And all of them have pluses and minuses, and some of them are, they kind of work for some people, others not, and everything. And I just wanted to go through as just an education with some of our clients that maybe are moving to the area. What are those communities that are kind of at the top of the list, right? I mean, like we've got downtown Los Gatos, but you look at downtown Los Gatos and Willow Glen. It would amaze me personally. I'm a Los Gatos guy. I love the community of Los Gatos. I personally believe that there's a higher value to Los Gatos. However, Willow Glen, not that long ago, kind of matched the same value where Los Gatos was at, right? So it's interesting to see the differences that those communities provide, and there's something for everybody. Right?
Well, I think that's the point, right? It's like not everybody can, because right now, entry level in Los Gatos is about $3 million.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we just sold a 2-bedroom for 2.57. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I think where Willow Glen, although kind of similar in size, although it's a neighborhood inside San Jose, I think they offer a lot more variety in terms of types of houses.
Sure.
Right? Because you got the big, McMansions, you got the nice ranchers, you got the mini cottages.
I've always said if somebody wants to go to Willow Glen, they're telling me they love that California bungalow type, right?
Yeah.
They love that old school California charm and everything. Where Los Gatos, I believe, is more of the family-oriented, community type places. Then you got downtown Campbell. Downtown Campbell, it's funny, years ago, nobody wanted to go to downtown Campbell. And now it's like that hip, young place to go, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of a hub where, it's centrally located, to downtown, to Willow Glen, to Los Gatos.
Well, and the cool thing is all those communities, too, they're all connected by the Los Gatos Creek Trail that goes through all of them as well. You can take it all the way down to Guadalupe, down to the arena, right?
Right, which a lot of people don't even realize that.
No. Yeah. So good communities we have, others, but okay, so let me ask you this. So then you look at an area like Cupertino to like a Los Gatos or Willow Glen. Cupertino doesn't really have a downtown area.
No, they're
right?
starting to build up on De Anza, right?
Right, or like Valco and the whole Wolf there, main place I think they call it and stuff. But again, that's got strong education, but the tech hub.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, same thing with Sunnyvale, right? Sunnyvale, a tiny bit of downtown life, but home prices and they're the closer you are to Mountain View, right? I mean, they don't have some of those things. And again, it's a lifestyle choice. But then when people tell me on the flip side of that, when people come into our area and they've talked to their friends or family about different areas of San Jose, usually, and this is for my entry-level buyers, usually the first words out of their mouth is anywhere but East San Jose. And so I always take, I said, okay, well, first of all, listen.
Why?
I bought my first house in East San Jose.
Right.
I grew up and went to high school there.
Yep.
Now, I get it. There are areas that aren't as desirable as others.
Right.
But my first house, our neighborhood looked like Willow Glen.
Right.
It was those bungalow cottages, so don't be so quick to just naysay a neighborhood because there are great parts in every neighborhood.
Well, you look at
in our communities.
Thousand Oaks. Thousand Oaks over there, right? That actually falls under South San Jose, I believe, right? And it is one of the, not saying South San Jose is bad at all. I mean, there's an incredible neighborhood there, but that's like one of those little iconic neighborhoods where there's the fire department in there. You got two schools there. They do the 4th of July parade and everything. So, and that's where it goes down to the agent, right? We can point those things out for our clients. I mean, there is a lot to choose from these. I mean, I was recently down in Morgan Hill and it blew my mind what they have done to that downtown area, right?
Crazy.
And I think COVID has opened up some of these outlying areas like the mountains and so forth to go to. But we know, listen, historically, the further up the peninsula you go, the higher you're going to be paying price per square foot.
Right.
I've always tried to steer my first-time home buyers along like the 85 corridor, only because we want to look at appreciation and those historical side of it.
Correct.
But know that it's always it's a valuation scenario, right? I mean, as far as different communities and stuff, but there are incredible neighborhoods throughout all of our different areas in Santa Clara County.
Well, yeah, it's one of the great things about our area is that diversity, and I truly believe there's a neighborhood for everybody.
100%.
Right? And that's the thing though. It's like you have to work with agents that understand the nuances of the different neighborhoods because you don't know what you don't know.
It's funny. I'm not sure if it was our Lost podcast or not. We had a conversation about the neighborhood specialist.
Oh, yeah.
The neighborhood specialist. David, I know you're pretty vocal with this. What's your thoughts on that?
All right. So,
I sell Thousand Oaks, man. I know it better than anybody. If you got a house in Thousand Oaks, list with me, man. I sell it all.
Dark side of real estate, right? So if any real estate agent says they're a neighborhood specialist, chances are they are kind of an old school agent because that used to be something that was very prevalent back in the day when there was less data and availability of information, right? Because that agent lived in the neighborhood, knows who the builder that of every house was, and provided some value.
Sure.
However, times have changed.
Yeah.
So if you go up to a listing and they say neighborhood specialist, I would say take it at best. I'll say it this way: take it with a grain of salt. And what happens if you walk in there and you like the agent, but you decide you don't want to live in that neighborhood?
Right.
I promise you that agent will still jump at the chance to work with you in some other neighborhood.
100%.
And then I'm like, well, what happened? Are you a specialist there too? Because I only want to work with the neighborhood specialist.
What I love about our team is we're specialists in real estate. Anything, everything real estate, we can help you out with it. And we understand the nuances of all the different neighbors and everything, so we can point and direct you with that. Not to mention, when you look at one of our agents, right? You, me, or one of our partner agents, junior agents, we are touching so many transactions that's gaining that experience. That neighborhood specialist, especially in the last 10 years, is maybe doing what? 4 to 6 transactions a year in that neighborhood.
If they're lucky.
Compared to our agents on our team, we're touching over 100 transactions a year. We're all involved in all different aspects of it. So it's really just the ability to focus on that experienced agent and really look at who can help you create the best solution for your needs.
Well, yeah, and I'll just finish with this. So I did a listing presentation, and I went up against a neighborhood specialist, right? I knew who she was. She's been around forever.
Sure.
So I pulled up her stats, my stats, and I pulled up a map of where she sold and where I sold. And it was clear to see that not only was she not the neighborhood specialist, but she sold more real estate outside of the neighborhood than she did in.
You can't survive on any one neighborhood. We know that, right?
No, absolutely not.
But the great thing with guys like us is we've been around enough to where I don't think there's any neighborhood somebody can throw at me, definitely in Santa Clara County, that I don't know where I haven't sold in there.
Yep.
Right?
No, absolutely. So, as we always say, and it's like beating a dead horse, but who you work with matters.
100%.
But it really, really does. Yeah. And so, as we wrap up, if you know anybody, if you're still listening and watching, putting up with Mark and I,
there you go.
If you know anybody that is thinking about buying, but especially selling, has any, and I know it's tough to sell right now. Right now, most of our clients, unfortunately, are coming from like death, divorce, and job relocation.
Life changes.
Yeah,
life events.
Life events, right?
Yep.
But for other people, looking to either move up or move down or move out of the area, please get a hold of us because timing is critical.
Well, and it's never too early to bring us in. I mean, you and I just met with a client today that they're not looking for a year down the road, and that's okay because we can analyze the property, figure out are there things that you can work on now, maybe get a little use and enjoyment out of it as you're living in that property the next year. It's never too early to contact us.
Yep, absolutely.
And I know we've got some really great things coming up as we prepare for Summer of Fun again.
Man, we got tons of stuff, right? So next movie event, Mark is really excited about this.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Animated Spider-Man? I don't get it, but okay,
well, it's
I'll
because your
concede.
kids are grown. but Mark promises to dress up in a Spider-Man costume and be a web slinger.
My tighties. There you go.
So we got that coming. We've got music in the park, which is a ton of fun. We are one of the VIP sponsors.
Yes. Yep.
So, you get private access and free booze and all that stuff. And then end of summer, we are doing our casino night.
Casino night, September. Don't quote me. I think it's September 22nd, but don't quote me. Just keep an eye out for our emails going out.
Yeah, no, so stay tuned. And then a bunch of other stuff sprinkled in.
Yeah. Give us a call if you guys ever need anything. Take care, man. Bye.